seconds.
Welcome to the June 4th Design Review Commission meeting. Can we do a roll call?
Thank you, Chair Newsom. Commissioner Case?
Here.
Commissioner Riley?
Here.
Vice Chair Besting?
Here.
And Chair Newsom.
Still here.
We have a quorum.
All right, so consent calendar. Do we have any items on the consent calendar?
We do not, and seeing none, that the secretary would suggest or recommend moving to consent.
Okay, so let's move on. Public communications. This portion of the meeting is reserved for comment on items not on the agenda. Under the Brown Act, the commission cannot act on items raised during the public communications, but may respond briefly to statements made or questions posed, request clarification, or refer item to staff. Do we have any comment cards for public communication not on items to the agenda?
Seeing none.
Okay, so that's fine. So let's move on. So ex parte communication. So has anybody on this commission had any contact with the applicants?
No. No.
No?
In either of the items. Okay.
Nope.
Okay. All right, so now we're going to move on to the public hearing and to the study sessions. So this opens the public hearing. And I guess the first project I have here is the Taco Bell at Rossmore. So does staff have a presentation for us?
Staff does.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. My name's Chip Griffin. I'm the Principal Planner, Chair of the Design Review Commission. I'm pinch hitting for Gerardo tonight as he has a graduation in his family. So tonight we're having a study session for a new Taco Bell drive-through at 1960 Tice Valley Boulevard, which is right within the Rossmore Shopping Center. Let's see, there it is. A little description here and some context. You can see here's the shopping center in blue. So that shows the entirety of the shopping center. I believe it's north. It's properly oriented north to the top, east to the right, west to the left, and south to the bottom. Down here where the star is where the Taco Bell building would go. And you can see in this drawing here, that being the star, the Taco Bell site is actually a little bit larger than that. So what it would include is a new 14 or approximately 1,500 square foot building, have a drive-through. It has a dual lane drive-through. The inside lane is for mobile order, and the outside lane, I believe, is for order in line, not online, but in line on site. It's traditional, and the drive-through would work kind of like this, and then out, and then through any of these several entrances and exits in the shopping center. Project would also include a little outdoor space, landscaping, lighting. There's a couple of tree removals, and we'll get to that a little bit later. The pad itself was studied or contemplated in PD 2189, and it was studied in the CEQA document for that as well as a drive-through restaurant. A little more context, general plan land use designation is general retail. Again, zoning, it's a planned development. The existing site is the shopping center. It has all kinds of typical shopping center uses in there. It's about 12.5 acres in total, and it's surrounded over here by, down here by Rossmore. Over to the north, offices and such. There is a single-family residential plan development up here, and mostly to the right of the project area is medical office and the like. And down to the bottom right would be Tice Valley Park or Tice Valley Recreation. The layout, we just talked about it a little bit. So the internal access is from Rossmore Parkway. There's an access point here and an access point here. This one is largely used by the Chevron in this area. And Chevron itself has 3 points of ingress egress right there, and then 2 along Rossmore Parkway. This will likely be the main entrance into the restaurant, but there's also a large parking field here, which could be something before or after shopping or using other tenants in the shopping center. Let's take a look at this site layout a little bit more, a little bit closer. So just looking at it a little bit closer, the site currently is mostly parking spaces. So there's going to be some parking spaces. I think there's an analysis of that in the staff report, how many are lost and how many are, there's a net loss. And then these would be repaved and repainted as parking spaces. There is an access point here, which the shopping center is contractually obliged to keep. That was one of the things that we had discussed with them. So it's a little bit odd, but that has to stay, and it has to remain a lane with an out there. So the primary way to get into the site is right through here, and you've either made your call, or you work for a delivery service, or you are just there to talk to the guy inside, make your order, drive through, get your stuff, and leave. There's a window here for, I would assume, taking money, and then pickup window here. Oh, and by the way, Chris Siz is here with representing Taco Bell, and we'll have no presentation, but just a short discussion, and be there to answer questions. So if I didn't get any of this right, I'm sure that you will let me know. So that's how the site works. Building layout, you can see it's pretty much rectangular. It's about 1,500 feet. There's an entrance here, and I believe there's an entrance back here, but I think that's just for service. The only area for customers, excluding the restroom here, is just really right here. It's very small, so it's really oriented towards the drive-through, to the takeout, hence the use permit. So I think there's only, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, maybe 10 seats inside, and then there's a few more outside on a patio area there. Entitlements for this thing is, like we said, it takes a design review, CUP for the takeout and drive-through, and tree removal. So we're gonna have a study session tonight. Based on your recommendation, we'll go to the Planning Commission for their consideration at a later date. The design of the building, it's 27 feet. It has metal canopies. There is the outdoor dining, as I mentioned earlier. They used I believe three Hardy products. One is a horizontal lap style siding, and the other 2 are panels. The panels are shown here. You can see there's a black panel, and then there's the purple panel. There's signs, wall signs. There is a sign package, but the biggest signs are these wall signs, and there's 3 of them. And then there's also directional signage and that kind of thing. The towers have a stucco finish, and that's a black stucco. And then lighting includes walls or these drop lights here, and there's some cut sheets, I think, in the staff report. And then I think we're going to take a look at those later in this presentation as well. And you can see how these are the metal canopies with the chain stays. Here we are, lighting and signage. So here's the 3 signs. I think the signs are sized to where they're compliant. Here's the sconces. They're kind of these drop lights here. Those would be the ones on the sides of the building there, is what we saw. They showed them with an illumination effect. And then there's these LED wall lights, which are located like over the door here. And I think there's a couple other locations. Landscape plan. So The existing trees are shown here in green and red, and the proposed are shown here in blue. There are 18 trees on site. 5 of them will remain. 13 of the trees are for removal, 11 of which were approved by the city arborist. 3 were not, and I think those are London plane trees or sycamore trees, which they would replace. They would replace 2 of those. And I think that's changed, though. I think they're going to replace 3. Yeah, they're going to add 3. I think they added 1. 2 of those are London plane, and 1 of them is Brisbane box. Of course, there's other landscaping and C3 applications on the site, and I think those show up better on your plans than they would on a slide here. Sequel-wise, it's the project itself would be exempt under 15303, but there is also a mitigated negative declaration adopted by City Council in 2020 for the PD, and that's its notice of determination number. There were no mitigations necessary to build out that pad. Summary requests. Staff asked the Design Review Commission to provide input and make recommendations on site design, architecture, colors, materials, landscape, lighting, and the 2 tree removals. Are there any questions of staff? If not, Chris will come up and make a presentation.
I have a question. In the arborist report, it indicates there's 18 trees, but in the staff report, it says 13. And so can you just clarify the discrepancies?
Well, I'd take a look at that list. I didn't see it, so.
Okay.
But my bet is that those trees aren't actually 9 inches. They're probably not actual trees.
Okay.
That's typically the case.
And then the other question I had.
And I should expand on that. When I say they're not trees as defined by the city's tree preservation on private property ordinance, which defines a tree as a plant with a 9-inch at diameter breast height.
Okay.
So if it doesn't make that, it's not treated as a tree on private property.
I see. So a lot of the trees that are listed as being removed aren't actually classified as trees, and that's why there's that discrepancy in numbers.
That's typically the issue.
Okay. And then just again, where the 2 sycamores, I think I'm clear on where they were that are being suggested being removed, but could we just see that again?
I believe those are right
2,
here.
right?
Those are
Okay.
the trees with the yellow they might appear as street trees.
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay, those were my only staff questions.
Anyone else? I mean, Chip, is this subject to the city design standards at all, or is that?
Design standards?
The design standards don't apply here, right?
Or the design standards?
Design standards.
Yes, it does.
Does, okay. All right, thanks. So without any more questions, do we go to public comment now, right?
We want to introduce the applicant.
right,
You might
okay.
have questions of
Okay, go ahead.
himself. Yeah.
Thanks, Chip.
Yeah, sure.
Can you go back to the site plan?
Yeah. If you want to get something else, you can roll. That one?
Sounds good. Thanks, Chip. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Chris Sizz. I'm with Diversified Restaurant Group. We're the Taco Bell franchisee that has been in contract to lease this property, a ground lease from the what was Rossmore Center shopping center that's recently sold to another group called the Sterling Organization. But Diversified Restaurant Group has been identifying sites within Walnut Creek. We've been looking at this location for the last couple of years. We operate 337 Taco Bells across the country, roughly half of them in the state of California, roughly half of that within the Bay Area. We have quite a few locations around the East Bay, Tri-Valley neighborhoods. This particular location is, as you can tell, a little bit more modern, unlike some of the other stuff in town, and was really the evolution of the Taco Bell prototype and the Taco Bell standards. This site in particular, and I've been doing this for 15 years, was one of the more challenging sites. And Chip mentioned it, but there is a tenant protected area that you can roughly see around the outside of the dashed line. And there's also a 10-foot central sand utility easement that runs diagonally through it. And you can see it in the aerial. So we didn't have a lot of room left to locate a Taco Bell. And we feel good about this location maximizing the drive-through location. The drive-through stack itself is accommodating up to, I think, 15 cars. Our study says, based off of our busiest locations within this part of the Bay Area, that we won't exceed any more than 8 cars on our stack. And Taco Bell itself is one of the fastest QSRs in the industry. And there's been quite a change here in how the QSR industry serves the customers with the digital forward and the mobile orders and the deliveries. So as Chip showed, there is a small dining room. We do anticipate most of the customers still coming through the drive-through, but the dining room itself is proportionate to what we expect as the customer base. Those are what I think are the unique characteristics here. Obviously, I'll be here to answer any of the questions, and if there's anything else now.
I have a question. I've been to the shopping center a lot, and I've never seen the parking lot very impacted. Is that something that you guys have any concerns about, taking away some parking? Is that it's going to impact the shopping center and the ability to park?
We've been working closely with staff on that particular item for quite some time, and did a great job of sort of guiding us. The site itself, the 12.3 acres, has about 530 parking stalls, which is currently overparked by the normal code. So I think the net loss is approximately in the high 20s. So based off of our experience as well, this part of the shopping center is very rarely used. There is a lot of traffic that potentially overflows from the Crumble Starbucks, but that's really small areas and times of the day. Our lease allows for cross parking and cross access throughout the whole shopping center as well. So I think while we may only have 15 shown, it's more than adequate to serve this type of use.
Yeah, I agree. And the reason I'm asking is because I wonder, is there a way to reevaluate the site plan to take away parking instead of trees?
Yeah, again, I think that it's a challenge to lay this out. We don't have a lot of operation and a lot of ways to do it, but the two constraints are the drive aisle to the left of our site, plan left, right, that we want to maintain. We have the 10-foot utility easement that we can't cross, and then we have the tenant protected area that is controlled by Safeway, which in the plans itself, it shows it a little bit better, but it is essentially beyond that dashed line to the top and plan left. So there's honestly nowhere else to put the building without blocking that cross-access drive, which is not allowed.
Okay. And if somebody were, I realize that it's primarily drive-through, but if somebody were to arrive by car and park and want to walk in, are they, the only way they can get to the front is from the crosswalk where you've stopped to pick up your food, or the corner right near Chevron, right?
There's another crosswalk that crosses in front of the drive-through lane. There's a couple parking stalls over there. That's our ADA path.
Okay.
And then, then there's the crosswalk that's to the bottom left of that.
Is there a
corner.
crosswalk there? It looks like
Yeah.
there is. Okay.
Yeah, and we're actually improving the access to Tice Valley all the way in front of that site. And there's going to be a little retaining wall. It's going to be upgraded with a decorative wall and some landscaping. So that's going to continue. Right now, that doesn't exist.
Okay, so the sidewalk to connect back to Rossmore Parkway.
Isn't that Tice Valley right there? Or no, I'm sorry, Rossmore Parkway. You're right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and I realize Chip kind of explained this, but that weird stop sign thing, that's so odd. it has to stay because that's part of an agreement with Safeway? Is
Yeah,
that what
yeah,
that means?
it's unfortunate, and I agree with you, but that, those 5 stalls are protected. And we can't touch the 5 stalls. So if you put a curb and you just put it right at that property line, or what we call the tenant control area, that doesn't allow the use of those 3 stalls anymore. So then they would lose the use of those 3 stalls. They would physically exist, but you wouldn't be able to use them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
So I read through the report regarding the flow and for the drive-through. Is there a plan if there are more cars or if the cars start to back up? Do you have contingencies in place for that?
Yeah, absolutely. You've probably seen it in maybe the in-and-outs for the Chick-fil-A's, but there's an iPad that you can go out and they can go address the customers to move them through quicker. It's called a bellhop that we can use that will get cars through faster and get the orders in. If there's a backup for some reason, again, we're not one of those users. We're not a Chick-fil-A. We're not an In-N-Out. We don't do those sales. But if there's for some reason a backup, we will direct people to park and bring the food out to them.
The building, so is this like a standard Taco Bell design, more or less?
I mean, I think the more modern design is more neutral colors. It's the grays and the whites and the blacks with just a pop of color. That tower element itself is more trying to highlight the building letters. The white, the negative white on the black is something that we've identified in much of our development as just a really prominent sign. So, I mean, I think that if there's, some discussion there, we're happy to entertain that, but this building is not a prototype. It does have more than the standard finishes. We typically try to build all EFIS if we can. Here, this is a combination of multiple Hardys with a scored EFIS. It's hard to tell, but there's going to be a reveal in the tower of a dark anodized bronze that's a pretty nice looking detail. It's pretty slick when you get up close.
Okay, and then the signage, is it all backlit?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's all internally illuminated. Each letter is individually mounted as a channel letter. There's no raceway. And then the bell itself is one piece. It's a very clean look. This particular building was recently built for the first time in the Bay Area in Tracy,
yeah,
off of International and the 205. So this will be the second time we do something similar.
okay. And there's other color schemes that you guys have, right, that Taco Bell has, or?
This is the color scheme for this type of building.
Okay. Thanks. So with that done, public comment? Thank you. Public comment time?
I have 2 cards.
Great,
Shall I?
go ahead.
Steve Shavinsky.
My name is Steve Shavinsky. My wife Linda's here. We live at 1915 Devil View Place. So they mentioned the single-family residential behind the Safeway, so that's where we live. We walk down to the Safeway quite often, to that shopping center for use. Here to express some concerns about, excuse me, the plan and the design and the effect on traffic. As you know, I haven't seen any traffic projections. I know there were some for other facilities here that you own, but I think anyone that goes to that shopping center, and we lived there for 15 years, will testify to the fact that the traffic has gotten increasingly more busy as they've added the barbecue shop, the Crumble, the Yogurt Shop, the Starbucks, which also has a drive-through. And with the Savers that's now across the street, there's often overflow parking that now spills over to the Safeway parking lot, particularly on the weekends when people are running across the street. That's a whole nother safety issue, but there's definitely some parking issues with regard to the impact of the Savers Mart across the street. If anyone knows anything about the Rossmore demographics, I will tell you that most of the people that are pulling into that shopping center are quite old and sometimes a little bit sketchy on their driving ability. I've had multiple, close calls just coming in and out of that center, and adding something of this complexity is really going to freak out, I think, many of the residents of Rossmore, and definitely increase the chance for accidents. I think that's you can pretty much bet on that. The volume, I mentioned, as I said, the drive-through volume, I think, is a concern. The design does not fit in with the renovations that the people at the previous owners of the shopping center recently did over the last few years through COVID. And this thing is just going to stick out like a sore thumb. It's just, it's an ugly, I'm sure that it's the new design and the new standard of your brand, but I mean, it's going to be a pretty unsightly, I think, addition to the neighborhood. And finally, something that wasn't referenced here was I saw in the plans that they would like to stay open until 2 a.m. And I mean, that's just out of the question. Everything in that shopping center is closed by 10 o'clock. And the thought of people driving over there at 2 o'clock in the morning is just, I just can't imagine the clientele that's going to be pulling in there at 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning after partying all night in Walnut Creek. So that's going to be another, concern and a safety issue as well. I would just like to know if there are any other restaurants in relatively residential neighborhoods outside of the Cindy Center that are open until 2 o'clock in the morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, sir?
Yes. Karen Bates?
Thank you for listening to my comments. I'm Karen Bates. I live at 1995 Honey Locust Court, and my house overlooks Rossmore Parkway. And I have a picture on my phone of how this Taco Bell is going to be right in line from my deck, and it's a little upsetting. Oh, and I did want to clarify that the two sycamores have been there the whole 25 years, and they're more than 9 inches. They're huge. It would be nice if they could stay and shield that ugly tower. So parts of my neighborhood have seen light pollution, traffic, trash, and crime really increase over this 25 years. And especially since they remodeled the shopping center with all of the extra traffic, and we already have a lot of people coming from Pittsburgh area who work at the Manor Care across the street from my house. And they sit in their cars and smoke pot, and I think those are the ones that would be going to the Taco Bell probably. And trash everywhere, it's not good. The signage for Taco Bell is too high, and my family will be able to see the fluorescent purple bell right from my living room. I hope one of the 3 sides of the sign do not face the neighborhood. There are other houses too that would see it. Then there is the traffic issue. This is an area of elderly people who sometimes drive on the wrong side of the road. My own car has been crashed into twice over the years in or near the Safeway parking lot. Almost always when I leave home and round the corner onto Rossmore Parkway, there will be a car making a left-hand turn into the parking lot. This is the one where they'd be going into the Taco Bell. And the cars are usually blocking the road because 2 people think they can go, but they can't, and so they just block the road. Sometimes elderly people drive into the exit lanes or exit through the entrance lanes, and I believe, even with signage, they will often drive into the wrong lane. Adding to the traffic chaos are ambulances and paramedics that daily drive down Rossmore Parkway to the Manor Care or the assisted living facility behind the Manor Care. You've also got people in wheelchairs.
Time's up, so wrap it up.
Okay, people crossing their wheelchairs too, very slowly. Okay, and I think the Taco Bell is really super ugly. If they could change the colors, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
It's just the two.
Just the two?
Okay. Ann? Is it Hatanaka?
Hello, my name is Ann Hatanaka, and I live in 1982 Seaton Court. I'm one of the 52 houses that reside behind the Rossmore Safeway Shopping Center. The couple questions I had, and I think you might have, Mr. Chairperson, talked about it, but is the signage compliance? It seems to be a little above board and not fitting in with the ambiance or the architecture of the shopping center. The other question I have is with regard to the store hours, which I don't know if anybody else could speak to it, but the store hours seem to be a little bit more liberal than we're used to in our neighborhood. Please understand that our neighborhood is a quaint little burg, and we would like to try to maintain that ambiance. It's not a urban downtown Walnut Creek area. We live there because of the surroundings, the what it has to offer, the trails and the nature. And the other question I have is with respect to the exhaust system. You know, will there be air pollution that we will be smelling, basically, of the food preparation? We live right up the hill. My colleagues and my neighbors will also be experiencing any of those air pollution and even the light pollution that we might have at night. So please take that into consideration. It sounds like it's a fait accompli. It's already been agreed to because some sort of exemptions that we were unable to make any comment to. So I'm hoping that you will keep our best interests in hand. We're a vocal minority to maybe other communities because we're so small. So I think the reason why you all are sitting in these chairs is because we put our confidence in you and had you elected and are sitting here and listening to us. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks.
That just doesn't work. Okay. Bettina Uno?
Hi, my name is Bettina Uno. I've been living in the neighborhood right behind the Safeway for 33 years. I live at 1984 Sunan Court, and next door neighbors with Ann. And I had a few questions. I wanted to know when this Taco Bell was approved, since last night was the first time I heard of it. Does anyone know, or?
It's not approved.
Oh.
That's why we're here.
Okay, all right, because it sounded like it was a done deal.
It goes from here, and we're here. Our lane is design, so those 5 things we'll be looking on tonight, and then
Okay.
after, at some point later, would go to the planning commission,
Okay.
who will approve it or not.
Yes. Okay. All right. Good to know. All right. So I have the same concerns as my fellow neighbors here about the traffic. There's only one way in and out of our neighborhood. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. It's up Rossmore Parkway, and then it curves left into Old Oak. So there are often times elderly people have a lot of accidents. They drive up the wrong side of the street, especially in the mornings and in the afternoons during like commute hours. And so I just can imagine the traffic stalling going into the Taco Bell, since that seems to be the same driveway they're using to get into Safeway. And if there's a backup or accident, anyone from our neighborhood cannot get out of our neighborhood. We're just stuck. So that's another thing to consider. I'm also concerned about the small business El Jardine. It's this cute, small Mexican restaurant in the Rossmore shopping center. And if you open a Taco Bell right there, I feel bad because I feel we should support independent small businesses instead of large chains. Oh, okay. And another thing is, I do think the building looks ugly, the plan, and just does not fit our neighborhood, and I'm concerned about the light pollution, noise pollution, and attracting the wrong crowd, because right now we now have a lot of homeless people coming in at nighttime and sleeping on benches in the neighborhood's front hall. So,
Got to wrap it up.
okay. So,
Thanks.
all right. Well, thank you very much, and I hope you come and visit, or if you, I'm assuming you don't live in our neighborhood, but you really should come out to our neighborhood and see that it is really this little haven of houses that we all love, and that's why we moved to this neighborhood, because it was quiet and,
Thank you.
okay, thank you.
T. McDonald.
Yes. Hi, my name is Terry McDonald. I've been a resident there right behind the Safeway. We are single-family homes. We're about 35, 40 homes. I've been there since 1997. Just a couple of things as far as the trees. 2 of the London pine trees are in fact protected. There is a major issue. If you want to pull up the mapping, a few years ago, someone drove out from the shopping center, hit a neighbor's car. The car of the other person caught on fire. The exit from the Chevron station out, people do not look to the left. I have 2 small children that are school age. I have neighbors that have children. We go to the Tice Valley Park. It is extremely dangerous. Rossmore's retirement community, but there is younger families out there as well. It is something that's not conducive. We already have the issue with the Starbucks with regards to people making U-turns, happen to drive by. We've had a lot of close calls. My neighbor's car was totaled. She has got COVID, otherwise she would be here this evening. People ignore having the right-of-way and the road that's coming from the exit from the parking lot. That there is the kidney center, and again, that hasn't even been open long, but that's got a separate egress. Also, too, we'd like to know if there was any type of petition or anything, because we, again, were just kind of notified yesterday with regards to this. Also, too, the issue of the smell, the 2 a.m. closure. I don't know if any of you have been out there, but 9:30, 10 o'clock, that shopping center is completely dead. We've had our issues of crime. We've had issues of a lot of car accidents and everything in the shopping center. We do have a good population that are the seniors from Rossmore. Question for the person for Taco Bell. What happened to the Taco Bell in Moraga? It's now an abandoned building and nothing's been done.
Thank you. Okay, so do we have any more cards?
I have no more cards.
Okay, so, end of the public comments, so do we want to? Oh, applicant, would you like to come up and answer any of these questions?
You have 10 minutes for a rebuttal.
All right, thanks, team. Appreciate everybody's comments. A couple things I noted here about the hours. The dining room is scheduled to currently close at midnight. The drive-through is all that would be open till 2. And if there's nobody coming, we're going to close early. We're just asking here today that those are the hours that we're conditioned to, as nothing later than. If we close early, we'll close early because that's what the neighborhood's telling us. I heard something about trash. Just a note that the closing checklist for our team is to walk the entire property and pick up all the trash. Not all QSR businesses do that. We do that. The exhaust system concerns about food preparation. Taco Bell doesn't actually cook any food here. We just reheat. We're a sous vide system. So by the method of the reheat for the sous vide, there's minimal odors. So there won't be any smells. And then the HVAC system itself does have filters in it. And the other one I want to talk about was the light pollution. Is that, you know, the existing shopping center itself is actually pretty bright, and our shopping center photometric design based off of what we're putting in is actually reducing some of the light. And we have a couple more lights that we're spreading around. But the numbers that I'm seeing in some of the parts of the shopping center are actually going down a little bit. I think those are the main ones that I had off the cuff here that I wrote down, unless there's anything else that commissioners had.
Could you clarify the sides of the tower that the logo's on?
The size?
The sides, sorry, the orientation of the illuminated
Yes,
logo.
the bottom left east elevation faces Rossmore Parkway, and the bottom right south elevation faces Tice Valley. So both of the signs are on the same tower, if you will, which faces the bottom right, which is the primary view angle for those that are driving northbound on Rossmore and westbound on Tice Valley, and still visible to those eastbound on Tice Valley.
And what's the ultimate height of the illumination?
Well, the total tower is at 27, so those signs are roughly 23, 22.
Okay. Is there any other clarity we needed from the applicant?
I thought you guys were making fries now. You don't fry anything?
They're frozen,
Okay.
so they're, yeah, I mean,
You don't like have a deep fryer?
there is a deep fryer, right? But they're frozen cooked fries, so we're just crisping them up.
Okay. Okay, that was my question. Haven't tried them yet. Have to try them.
Chicken nuggets are also the same way.
Yeah, okay. And then staff, isn't there across the street, that's where they're building the big senior housing complex? Didn't we look at something?
Across
Bring up the map.
Rossmore Parkway? Across
Is that Rossmore Parkway? So like to the right there, isn't?
to the right, across the street from where the Star is, that's 1200 Rossmore. There's a general plan amendment for that bank building to make it more of a community commercial type zoning. And then the building just adjacent to it, the Design Review Commission a few years back had approved design for a RCFE there. That has since been expired.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
So it's not happening, okay. Thank you. Nobody else had questions, okay. All right, so then commissioner comments. You want to go ahead?
Yes.
Closing the public hearing.
Closing the public.
By the way, just want to say one thing. So appreciate the questions that you guys gave. We're not really here to answer those, but I think you might pick them up in the comments. So thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, so study session, we get to just give our opinion on things. So I hear that there is the limitation because of those stalls for Safeway, but I just want to express concern for that lane. That would like wildly confuse me. I think that I understand it's a challenging site plan. I wish there was a way to, I feel like there's an entire parking lot there. I'd almost be more comfortable having queuing going into the parking lot as opposed to having 2 lanes and taking out trees. That would just be like my preference. Then I think it may soften the impact of the architecture to the adjacent developments and neighbors. And that's it. Those are my comments.
Okay, go ahead.
I second the idea that if it could be considered, that more parking spaces are used and it's not pushed out into removing trees. I think removing those 2 trees would really it would be nice if it was avoided, and as well as the idea of those existing trees are large, as the comment said, and can provide some screening. It seems, I've been in this parking lot before. I've had all sorts of issues with the Starbucks queuing line as someone who goes to Starbucks, and it backing up and causing a lot of congestion, even though there's a lot of room. So I understand that there was a plan that was gone over, there was a study that was made, but I really think looking at that overflow and really thinking about, okay, what if it's a maximum amount of overflow, especially if it's late at night or something like that. So I don't really support the taking out of the trees, and I would like to see the traffic better addressed in that area.
Go ahead.
I third those comments. I agree that the site is constricted, and especially with the easement, that makes it difficult for you. But as they said, and as some of the public comments stated, the parking lot itself is not that well used. It's not ever full to the point that it's, yeah. So taking some of that space to direct the traffic so that the trees that are on the street, those big sycamore London planes, don't have to be removed, would alleviate some of the concerns of the neighbors, because it would screen some of the light and the visibility. On the other hand, the way that the tower is oriented towards the chevron, those of you who live behind Safeway aren't probably going to see those big bells lit up at night. So I appreciate that mitigation on behalf of the franchisee. But I agree that the London planes are protected and they should be protected.
Thanks. So I agree with everything you guys said. I mean, I think my comments would be about the building. I'm the architect. So I think, and just adding a bit about traffic, I ride my bike through here all the time, and people driving down the street, it's kind of crazy, to the point where I don't even want to drive my bike down that street anymore, because it's a tough place to be, and for whatever reason, there's a fair amount of bad judgment. Let's just say that. But so I think it's, when you go to the planning commission, which I think you will, I think you're going to have to do a better job of addressing that. I'd say the building, and I appreciate the fact, I know that location Moraga has closed. There was one in Walnut Creek. There's actually another one in Alamo that recently closed. And I know how challenging it is to have a business and have visibility. This thing just stands out. It really, you just need to turn down the volume. I mean, this is an elevated pad. I don't know that you need those towers. It's gonna visibly impact the neighbors. You ought to consider different signage. You ought to make sure it's facing the expressway, not people's houses. I think you could do a more sensitive solution. I think the towers don't need to be there. I don't like the black. It's like, the whole building is like, when you have a building like this, the whole building is a sign. It's all identity. And this neighborhood has an identity. So the whole thing needs to be just toned down. I think you'll still have plenty of visibility there. It'll be a great location. If the easement's the challenge, can the easement be moved? What would that cost? What's in that easement? I have no idea, but sometimes that can free things up. I've done that before. Yeah, I mean, I think the exhaust system is going to come up again, so I'd say address that when you go to the planning commission. I'm done. Anything else?
Well, there is that question, so the sign being lowered and using a different color scheme, that could be something that could be addressed correctly.
That's what, I think I would make those recommendations. That's very
Yeah.
clear, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so I've listed some of the, I think what the real issues are that the applicant could address, to take comments, before we get into that, is there a positive recommendation?
Do we want to take a vote?
You can just do a show of hands, if you like.
Positive pending some of the suggestions that we've made.
Well, let's go through those first. I have more trees, less parking. And in the same vein, take a look and see if you can do something to save the 2 sycamores. Are we all on board with this? Okay. And the other would be reconsider the tower architecturally, reconsider the tower, reconsider the color scheme, and reconsider the signage.
And all of that is so that it fits more appropriately into the neighborhood, correct? The comments about the
Right,
architecture.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I still feel like I would turn in to this property further down Rossmore Parkway and turn left onto that road and then be like, I have to turn right. And now I have to leave the park. You know what? This lane is like, I just feel like is so funky.
The opening?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and it's right turn only. So if I've pulled in there, you know what I mean? It's just like, oh my God, how do I get to the drive-through? And now I'm having to go back onto Rossmore. I just feel like that would be,
It's weird as it is.
it's funky.
I go in there once in a
It
while.
is already a little misleading, but this just
Yeah.
feels like I have concerns. And I realize like that's not a constraint that's easy to control, but it's just really unusual and unpredictable, and I feel like it concerns me as far as site planning goes. You know, like I'm gonna come in there and be like, oh no. I meant to go to the drive-through, but I'm back in the parking lot. Like, you know.
So how would we concentrate that into a comment?
Well, I was going to make a similar comment on the other side, which is that just about every drive-through that's in a shopping center is like that. I mean, just trying to pull into an In-N-Out or anything along, yeah, it's just nuts, like you said. But I don't know how, because people are coming from all over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost like, I don't know the solution, and I hate when I do this, but I almost like wonder if you'd parked there, if you'd parked opposite of the exit for the drive-through and then there was queuing, you're trapped, right?
Yep.
So what if we bail on all that parking and it allows you to like scoot everything over, and then maybe that funky road doesn't connect to the drive-through?
Exactly.
It's
That-
that funky road.
Did you
I
catch
mean-
that in a
I mean-
comment?
Maybe we say like, we encourage the applicant to talk to Safeway, the neighbors, to improve the overall flow. Is it something like that?
Maybe. Or like,
It sounded to me like they had some sort of a lease stipulation that's in a document. And there might not be that much flexibility in that, but they could conceivably do an amendment.
They could talk to Safeway, I mean.
That's been,
Those things could,
That's been done.
been done.
it's been done.
I did it myself.
I just feel like the concern for losing parking should be minimized, and the priority of obvious intuitive circulation should be prioritized.
And safety.
Yeah, because this, I mean, it's a big parking lot, and in this aerial, it's 20% full, and when I've been there, it's not full. So I'm recommending that we be more lenient on reducing parking and give more space for making this function, although the easement's still an issue. It's tricky.
Okay, so that recommendation might be, or comment might be to concentrate, more
Prioritize?
prioritize, less concern to parking and prioritize,
Intuitive circulation patterns.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, prioritize.
access.
Let's use that word. Okay, do we get 3 on that? Yeah?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
All right, I think that's it then.
I have one more comment. I actually like the building and I like the colors, just in a different place, just for the record.
I don't like the colors on the building.
I mean, I think the deal is if you need signage, it is a sign. The whole building, as you said, is branding, and I get branding. I used to do stuff like that, so I appreciate that as far as the design goes. But it's not on a freeway exit. It's not somewhere where you're going to need that level of branding, so that people can say, oh, I got to go there. Because this is a destination. Anybody that's looking for a Taco Bell is Googling it, and oh, that one's there. Oh, that's new. That's cool. I'm going there. It's a different access. Different way of getting to it.
Yeah, I mean, and reinforcing that this is not a neighborhood where people travel if they're not living there. It's not.
Right.
People don't go into Walnut Creek this way. It's not a freeway exit, so you got to know it's there, and once you know it's there, you know. So, we'll try again, Chip, or?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so a lot of them are the same. More trees, less parking. And that could work into that prioritization statement that was more clarified, right? Make an effort to save the sycamores, so there's not necessarily a positive recommendation on the tree removal, is what I'm, okay.
Correct.
Okay. Reconsider the tower, reconsider the color scheme to be more in the neighborhood compatibility, more compatible with the neighborhood, and the signage as well, is that it might be a little bit much for the area that it's in.
Right.
If there's any chance to design around the Safeway preserved opening, either pushing something or in concert with moving less parking and more circulation, talk to Safeway again. Okay. And then that would be it. So there would be a positive recommendation to the Planning Commission for the use permits and the design review with these comments, but no support for the tree removal. Correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
No support for the protected tree removal.
Well, let's make sure we realize that all the trees that meet the definition of tree are protected. There's a short list of trees that are highly protected. These are not one of them.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we want to change anything? No. Okay, all right,
Okay, so we're done.
done and done.
So next up, we have the Toyota dealership. Is this a public hearing? Just.
You got it?
So does staff have a presentation for the
Oh, yeah.
Toyota Walnut Creek?
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Simmer Gill, Senior Planner with the City. We are here tonight to consider the design review for the proposed Toyota of Walnut Creek dealership that will be located at 2150 North Broadway and 1275 Pine Street. The applicant representing this project, Stephen Scanlon, is here tonight, as well as Rick Ferreira, who is the principal with Gensler. And I think there's a third party. I don't recall the name, but we do have their team available here, as well as myself, to answer any questions that you may have after this presentation. And just to give you some background, the development of a new Toyota dealership was envisioned in May of 2024 in City Council's action that included creation of a new mixed-use special overlay district, amendments to the North Downtown Specific Plan and General Plan, and a development agreement that identifies development of Toyota Walnut Creek dealership as a critical first step in advancing the council priorities for economic development and downtown vitality by supporting the growth of the automobile industry. And just to orient you with the site, the image to the left shows the existing dealership as well as the proposed location. The new site, the site where the proposed dealership is located consists of 2 parcels. Combined, it totals 2 acres. These will be merged for project construction, creating a L-shaped configuration. And the general plan and zone is auto sales service custom manufacturing, which does allow auto sales and service by right. A design review is required for the new construction, as this is considered a major project. And the existing uses on the 2 parcels, one is a auto detailing shop that's on Pine Street parcel, and then a vacant structure on the Broadway parcel. And the surrounding area does consist of retail, office, and mostly auto sale and service uses. And as mentioned earlier, the site, which is both of these 2 parcels, are located within the North Downtown Specific Plan and within 2 overlay districts. And these 2 overlay districts are the Makers Row and the Mixed Use Special District. The parcel fronting Pine Street is under the Makers Row, and the parcel fronting North Broadway is under the Mixed Use Special District. And the project does meet the intent of both of these districts, as the project is encouraging the redevelopment and efficient use of land for intensifying auto sale and service uses within the mixed-use special district, as well as providing development that will activate the streetscape, which is a required feature in the Makers Row district. And here are some site photographs that were also provided as part of the agenda packet tonight. But this is basically looking north on Broadway and also looking inward into the site on North Broadway that shows the existing building that will be demolished for proposed construction. And here's another visual. This is looking inward into the site on North Broadway, which is the larger parcel. And here you're looking, standing across the street and looking into the site, 1275 Pine Street. Again, there's an existing structure on this parcel fronting Pine Street, which will also be demolished. And here's another visual, basically looking both ways on Pine. So the project consists of demolition of the existing buildings on both parcels to construct the new 2-story auto dealership that will offer both vehicle sales and services. The first floor consists primarily of the showroom, the service area, the outdoor lounge, the customer parking, and area for vehicle delivery. And the second floor does consist of vehicle service center with 47 service bays, offices, parts storage, and additional parking. And then the rooftop is used primarily for parking, for staff vehicle parking and equipment storage, as well as for inventory parking. And there, the applicant is proposing a total of 290 parking stalls. Of those, 127 is for the inventory vehicle storage. And the site modifications include new pedestrian walkways near entrances along both street frontages, as well as installation of new 8-foot wide sidewalk along North Broadway and a 5-foot wide sidewalk on Pine Street. And the project is also proposing new landscaping that consists of 6 new 36-inch box trees. And also new building identification signage is proposed. So tonight, the Design Review Commission is tasked at reviewing the the design review, which consists of the site layout, the building design, the color material palette, the landscape plans, the building signage, as well as the tree removals. And the recommendation or the comments that you do provide will then be forwarded over to the Planning Commission for their review and consideration of, or approval, hopefully approval of the design review. And here is the existing layout, and as well as the proposed, which shows you the side-by-side changes. As mentioned earlier, both of the existing buildings on the two parcels will be demolished. And here you see the overall layout, which again is that L-shaped configuration. And this shows the entry and exit into the showroom side of the building. And on Pine is the auto repair and parts, and again, this shows the entry and exit. And this one basically shows this one shows the installation of those sidewalk as well as the walkways. The pedestrian walkways all connect to the building entrance on both frontages. And here is a more detailed floor plan that again shows that the sales and showroom and the customer entry and exit into the parking area on North Broadway, as well as the service and repair entrance on Pine Street. And I believe there's more detail that I will leave for the applicant's team to go into, walk you through more of the operational and more details of the floor plan. And here is the second floor plan that shows again that part storage area, the service base, as well as the offices and the back of house, and additional parking. There's short-term parking for in-service vehicles, as well as EV charging stations. And this is the roof deck, which consists of the inventory vehicle parking storage, as well as for the employee parking, and all of the equipment. The equipment is also stored on the roof. And the primary building materials on this building consist of silver metal ACM panels with a red accent horizontal band that will run across the middle of the building. And the showroom, this is the Broadway facade that will be facing North Broadway. The primary entrance to the showroom features a projecting glass entry portal. It is illuminated. However, details weren't provided in this submittal as far as the illumination method, or really just trying to figure out, will it have a soft glow, or how will the illumination be controlled. So again, I believe the applicant's team does have a presentation tonight, and they could go more into that. And gray colored stone veneer is also proposed along both street facing elevations. And this is the facade along Pine Street, and it features, let's see, this is, sorry, I went back. So these are the side elevations. The east elevation is the back of the dealership, and the south elevation will be visible, partially visible from North Broadway. And this is the elevation that staff did suggest in order to just break up the plain facade, especially on this elevation, since it's visible from North Broadway, that another material could be incorporated. And that's also a design standard in the city's design review guidelines and standards. I've been working with the applicant, and I believe they will be addressing that. And here is the North Broadway facade. It does have a overall very modern design. Architectural elements such as vertical and horizontal reveal lines do add depth and visual interest to the building. There are large glass storefronts, storefront windows that showcase the showroom and create a strong street presence. And the window system is framed with silver painted aluminum. And the gray colored stone veneer is vertically placed both above and below the second floor outdoor deck, breaking up the metal panels and adding texture to this elevation. And the Pine Street facade features 2 areas with stone veneer accents that extend outwards, creating visual interest. And between these areas is that outdoor recessed area. See if I could, right here is the recessed area, allowing these elements really to stand out. And the design also incorporates varied materials, changes in building massing, and transparent storefront glazing that will enhance the building's overall appeal. And this project also includes some tree removals. There are a total of 6 trees that were evaluated in the arborist report. 5 of these trees will be removed. The live oak that identified as tree number 1 to the northwest corner was supported by the city arborist. It is actually an undersized tree, so that could be removed without any further approvals. The other 4 remaining trees, the palms, numbers 2 through 4 and number 6, do require Planning Commission approval for the removal of these trees as they were in fair to good condition. And there will be work within the drip line of a pear tree identified as number 5. That's to the southwest corner of the site. And the applicant is, as part of this project, is also providing new landscaping, which includes 5 maple trees and 1 hybrid oak. They're all 36-inch trees, and the hybrid oak tree will be located, I bubbled it or circled it in that green, to the southwest corner near Broadway, and the remaining trees are maple. And 5-gallon shrubs and ground covers also proposed and spread across the site. The project also includes building identification signage, 2 86-square-foot Toyota logo trademark signs are proposed. One will be located on the primary entrance on the entry portal wall along North Broadway. And the second one is on the corner wall along that south elevation that's facing that will be seen from North Broadway. And then one 19-square-foot non-illuminated sign that's going to read Walnut Creek will be mounted on the entry portal above the entry doors of the showroom. And a 22-square-foot illuminated blade sign mounted on the wall along Pine Street facade is shown here. And 2 non-illuminated signs reading service, reception, and express maintenance will be installed above the entrance canopy into the service center. While we were reviewing the plans, there weren't enough details provided on the signage as far as illumination or mounting methods, but I do believe the applicant's team has updated their plan set, and as part of their presentation, they'll go over the signage. And as mentioned earlier, this project is subject to the city's design review standards and guidelines. There are several standards or guidelines that weren't clearly depicted on the plans. One such being is the transformer along Pine Street is visible and it shall be screened from view. The plans do show that vines will be planted, but there was no details on the screening of that, the screening material. And then the other one is, as mentioned earlier, the variation in colors along those 2 side facades, the south and east facade, to break up the monotony. So either incorporate another color or some sort of design element to break up the blank facade. And there were no details really provided on the fencing that's proposed. And if there is chain link fencing, it is recommended that it shouldn't be visible from the public right-of-way. And regarding lighting, again, there was no lighting plan or details provided, and that is required per this design standard. And here is just, again, this information wasn't provided about the, we want to confirm what the height is of the ceiling height for all of the floors. And staff is looking for DRC to comment on the proposed design, the architecture, the color materials palette, and the landscaping, as well as confirming compliance with the design standards. And so tonight, the Design Review Commission will review the site design, the building architecture, the landscape plan, and signage. and hopefully provide a positive recommendation to the Planning Commission on the site and building design. And with that, I do conclude my presentation, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks. Any questions?
Yes. My first question is, can you explain the Maker's Row overlay? That's not something I know anything about, so if you could give us a little explanation of what it is, or what the,
Would you like to?
I could take a shot at that. Maker's Row is one of two districts that were created for the North Downtown specific plan. Maker's Row is a kind of a not necessarily light industry, but a creative space would allow a creative space for people to do some light manufacturing or art, that type of thing. So it's what's the word I'm trying to think of, where you would, and almost like an incubator type thing, but with, you know, from the artsy industrial type of side. Yeah, so it just has, it allows different uses. I think it allows a live-work situation, I think, that kind of thing. It's just a little bit, it's just a nuance on the ASCM. It allows uses that aren't allowed anywhere else in the ACM.
Anything else? Okay. Thank you. So how about a presentation from the applicant?
Good evening. I'm Stephen Scanlon, Rick Ferrara. I represent Toyota Walnut Creek's real estate interests. I think what we'll do is try to provide a little bit of backstory to understand how we got to where we are with the design. And then I'll let Rick go into more detail on exactly the nature of the design. So our number one goal 5 years ago, was retention of the dealership. And we approached the city about a methodology for doing that. The mandate was to create a new mixed-use special district that responded to some additional land uses that weren't currently offered in the North Downtown Specific Plan nor in the ASCM. We wanted to retain a full-service dealership, and that meant designing something that was an integrated facility on a smaller footprint in an urban prototype that really Toyota doesn't have yet. So this was kind of a little bit on the going over the edge. We realized we needed more space, and fortunately 1275 Pine Street became available. So we acquired it, and that's why the dealership is built in that sort of flag style. We completed the lot merger for 2150 1275 about a week ago. It's recorded, done, put to bed. And we're advancing the design forward, and we really had to do a lot of out-of-the-box thinking to come up with a facility that met the requirements of Toyota. 2 stories, they don't really have that. Rooftop parking for inventory and staff, and Rick will take you through the circulation plan, which I think it's pretty impressive thought. We wanted to honor the notion of an urban dealership. So the materials, they're not traditional Toyota materials, but we got the initial blessing from Toyota, subject to what the final design looks like. But we have gotten approval up to this point. And then I guess the last thing was, we wanted something that was a catalyst for the neighborhood. Part of the goal with the mixed-use special district was to open up opportunities in the North Downtown Plan by consolidating, revisiting the land uses and looking at a more urban context where uses that traditionally don't go together actually do. And so we spent a lot of time doing that and coming up with that sort of formula for the mixed-use special district. Ready?
Thank you. I am Rick Ferrara with Gensler, and we are the architectural firm that have been working tightly with Stephen and all the Toyota Walnut Creek team for a long time on this project. So we're excited this is finally here, but it has been a long time coming. So let me see here. A little orientation on the building, as I think the staff did a good job presenting it, but the Broadway facade is the primary facade. It is the view into the showroom. It is where the sales customers will be coming in and parking adjacent to the showroom. The automotive industry is in a, as many of y'all probably realize, is in a bit of a change with online sales becoming a big deal. It really has changed in the last 20 years. So when a sales customer comes to a dealership, generally, they already know what they want. They've already done a lot of haggling with the dealership, and they're ready. They're about 70% done with the transaction. That allows us to schedule their time to come in, have the car ready for a test drive. Those cars would be lined up on the south side of that driveway, depending on customer volume, where the customer could then come in, meet with their sales assistant, take the test drive, and then if they like the car, it would be brought back in. They would go in, complete the paperwork transaction. The car would be cleaned and detailed, and then it would be delivered in those 6 angled spaces that you see on the right-hand side of the showroom block. Those are what we call new car delivery. That's where you get your orientation to hopefully remember all the new things that are on your car. If not, you could always come back. But that customer would then depart north through the Pine Street exit at the northeast corner of the property. In gray, you'll see some of our electric vehicle parking. We've also got our bike parking over in that part of the project. And then at the top of the plan is really the Pine Street facade is our, what I'm going to call the service reception side. So the service business comes in. We've got 3 lanes plus a bypass, 24 cars total storage. We've got 500 feet approximately of stacking. So we're confident that this volume is going to more than adequately address any queuing issues. The dealership will have greeters to greet the customer, and we will have porters to move the vehicles. So the service customer comes in, they're greeted, they're directed to a lane, they go inside, meet with the service advisor. As soon as that car is ready to be moved, a porter comes and gets it and moves it upstairs. If there's a vacant stall in our shop, the car goes in that stall. If not, it gets put in a parking space waiting for service. That customer probably is going to stay on site, not always. Maybe they go shop in the neighborhood, maybe they go to work. But by and large, most of the service work, and I would say it's repair, is what we now call express service. The cars have gotten so much more reliable and simpler, and it's only going to continue with the electric cars, that about 70% on average at a dealership of this size is doing express work. So the customer can stay for that. We've got a lounge. That lounge has both indoor and outdoor seating. It'll have amenities, retail, of course, your normal sodas and snacks and things. But we have created a nice environment for the customer to wait for their vehicle. When the car is ready, they'll be told. The valet will go get the car, bring it down, and hand it off to the customer. They will also depart through the northeast corner of the property on Pine Street. Let's see here. I want to talk about the utility screening. We have got updated plans from Landscape Architect. We are going to screen all the utilities on Pine, including the transformer. That transformer will have a screen wall that's planted that will at least be as tall as a transformer. Right now, we're still trying to find out how tall the transformer is, but if it's 6 feet, it's 6 feet. If it's 8 feet, we'll do 8 feet. So we will totally screen all the utilities on that facade, and including the transformer. I also want to talk about a couple of times we heard that we had equipment being stored on the roof. The roof is purely parking, and there is the normal air conditioning units, exhaust fans, all the things you normally have on a roof are up there. All that equipment will be screened. So we're not trying to use, we have inventory up there, but we're not doing any other kind of storage on the roof. So I just wanted to clarify that. The fencing, we have added details to our plans. I don't believe I have a mouse here. So we are proposing a combination of ornamental iron. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So where we can see the fencing, we are proposing ornamental iron. So that would be ornamental iron right here. And then the chain link would start approximately at this point, this is a ramp in an elevated driving area. So it's actually above the fence line, but our chain link would start somewhere in here and then go to just after where the ramp starts to go up to the elevated parking deck. And then we would continue with the ornamental iron. So details have been included in the set. So they are in there. The other thing that we are looking at here is that it's been brought to our attention that the California Building Code requires curbs any place that we've got a walking surface. Curbs in dealerships pose a problem. Customers get excited, they get out of their car, they trip. And so what we're proposing here is that instead of that, that we use bollards along this walking surface here, as well as this one and that one in lieu of the curb. If that's ultimately not acceptable, we'll do the curb, but we're trying to save people from falling down. So that is an important thing to us. In the side yards, we've set the facades back nominally 10 feet. We're still working on the exact dimension. But in those two side yards, we've got our C3 stormwater treatment planters, if you will. They drain both ways to the streets. We've got an emergency exit out of this corner of the building. We've got a footpath here to get occupants out safely to the street. And then we are using that 10-foot setback to introduce as much natural air into the upper level and into both levels into these parking areas as we can. So let's see here. Second floor is our 47 stall service shop. That is an enclosed shop. Their only doors going in are overhead door here, here, and then 2 exits. But this is an enclosed shop. So we don't foresee any noise issues. There are no odors being generated in here. We're not painting. We're not doing any collision repair. This is purely automotive servicing, okay? So no noxious noises or no noxious odors, and noise should be a minimum. Okay. And we've got our roof deck here. So these are, we've consolidated the RTUs, exhaust fans, things like that, best we can, and they are going to be screened. We have an elevator here that goes down to the showroom where customers that do want to come and do a little bit of window shopping, if you will, can be taken up by their salesperson and walked around here. If they find a car they like, a valet will drive it downstairs. This ramp is purely going to be porters and employees driving on. The customer never drives up to the second level or the roof, and that is a safety issue at the dealership. The dealership right now, and we have provided photometrics, the plan is that the roof will be illuminated by light fixtures that'll be 12 foot off the surface of the deck. That's a 9-foot pole on a 3-foot bollard. If we need to do lower, we're amenable. There was no standard, so that was the number that we started with, thinking it was 12 feet's a lot better than the normal 25. So we've been trying to be sensitive about that, but we're open to your input there. Elevation-wise, see if I can do this. So these renderings have been updated and provided to the city, but we have got 4 finished materials on the front facade: the silver ACM, the red band, and the white portal, which is this glass, is Toyota National Image prototype. We have negotiated with Toyota. This is not the first elevation we showed them. This is the one that they said, that's better. The first one was not appreciated. But we are introducing a material. It was really important to us that we don't do just slick, slick, slick. We want to introduce some texture, some shadow. And so, we've worked to develop this very much not traditional. Stephen's correct. Toyota does not have a standard for urban dealerships. I've been working with them for over 20 years. These projects come up very rarely. This is probably the 3rd one I've seen. And the other one is in downtown New York City, and the other one's in downtown Chicago. So these projects do pose a bit of a challenge to us, but we've been working long and hard to overcome this. So materiality, 4 finishes on here, not counting the glass. We've got the silver ACM, the red stripe. If we want to count the white glass, that's fine. I'm not going to count the vision glass. The masonry, which we've provided examples of the materiality on the sample board. We have not finalized this material, okay? We really would like to be able to finalize the colors using live large-scale mock-ups on the property so we can see them, okay? And we're happy to, talk about how that final approval happens. Same facade, straight on, and here. We have also added a sheet to our presentation, which has been submitted to staff on the portal itself. The glass is a proprietary diffusing glass. It does not emit, it does not cast light. It simply glows softly and evenly. We have been implementing this portal for 20 years. It has been built extensively across the United States. There are plenty of examples of them. One of the challenges we have in showing the portal at night is that a camera will overly amplify the light coming out of it, and it looks harsh. It is not. I would encourage you, if there's concern, you want to see one of these live and in person, we can get you a couple of dealerships close to Walnut Creek for your consideration. I will tell you from personal experience in my hometown where the city manager said not no, but once they saw the one in the community just north of them, they called us and said light it up. So truthfully, it does all cause us concern. It is not a concern, and we've got data to prove that. So. Pine Street. So we had a lot more latitude here on Pine. We wanted to do something that really broke this thing up and didn't look like a car dealership. So we've got much more extensive use of the non-Toyota materials, this masonry, on both these elements here. We've got the balcony on the service lounge with the landscaping there. You can see the screening on the, whoops, can't zoom, come on. Sorry about that. On the transformer. So we've got the landscaping beefed up. The double lane service drive, that's getting us our queuing to go into service reception. And there's your straight on view. So terrace, balcony for the offices, and then the exit lanes here coming out of Pine Street at the northeast corner. Material, palette, board information. And you can see the examples of the masonry here. But again, we'd really like to do a deep dive on what that material actually is. Elevations have been provided. We've got, I keep trying to zoom, I apologize. Signage information has been provided. There's the fence information. The color, we haven't picked a color for the fence. I don't really have a preconceived notion. It can be black, it can be green, it can be whatever color ultimately is decided on. But this gives you basically a breakdown of where the materiality is placed. The gray colors coming across is awfully dark. We are not intending for it to be that dark. The material samples, this is more of a medium gray. So, and then we've worked on a number of technical issues here on the ramps and slopes to make sure that we're meeting the design criteria of the city. So we feel confident that we have met everything that's been posed, and happy to talk about any more of it. But that is it briefly and quickly. So I know there's questions.
The comments from the city mentioned looking for more information about the south and the east facades because they were feeling blank. Is there a way you could describe how that might be addressed?
Yes. Okay, so this is the south facade. So what we've done is we've wrapped the ACM around the corner. We have got the masonry going around the corner here, and I'm sorry I cannot zoom in on this system. But so we've got that. The adjacent building starts right here. Okay, we know it's not going to be there forever, but just to give you an idea of how much facade we can see. So we've got a little bit of the painted wall peeking out. We've got one window. And then on this side facade, which we have 3 finished materials on, we've got the ACM here, and then the painted block and the concrete base. That same concrete base is right there on the Pine Street side. So we're certainly amenable to looking at some more colors here. We've got grillage on the garage, security screens, and louvers. Those can certainly carry a color as well. So.
Okay. Then my other question, less specific to the design details, but the North Downtown specific plan calls for the Makers Row and for the mixed use option. This to me doesn't include any of that. Do you feel as though that's intentional, or this is making a pillar and something's going to fill in around it? Is that
So, and this was a use question about the use on the Makers Row space?
Yeah.
Well, as we were searching for a solution to keep this dealership in Walnut Creek, which is important to all of us, when that parcel came available, that really helped us solve this. So to be able to put what we would think of as a traditional Makers Row type space really wasn't an option to us. I mean, we'd love to have some vacant space to do something, but we just don't. This is a very tight site.
Mm-hmm.
So we do hope that this causes or accelerates the transition of the neighborhood. We would love nothing more than that corner to come in and be your next hearing. So, we do hope this is the first of several projects in the neighborhood.
Yeah, I really had envisioned it being kind of more pedestrian activated. Do you think there is a scenario, and you can tell me if I'm out of my mind, where there's adjustments to the sidewalk so that there can be a little more buffer between where a pedestrian would be and where the cars are moving, like a parkway strip or something? I do see their street trees. Just figured I'd ask.
Yeah, let me try. This is counterintuitive, sorry. You want to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say that while we can't embrace the Makers Row is an overlay. The ASCM is the base district. This is an ASCM. And we realize it's Makers Row and there's an aspirational intent to do some kind of a craft, live, work situation. What we did do on Pine Street was this is way outside the box for Toyota. And so we added the decks, we added the landscaping, we pushed it back, and we tried to create more of a presence on the street. So when customers come in and are waiting for service, there's actually an outdoor area that we're trying to engage more and provide more, and then the same thing with the staff above. And that was sort of our homage to the Makers Row.
Yeah, I mean, I think that helps.
I do too. I do too.
Those are my questions. Thank you.
So my questions are sort of along the same lines. I guess my first question is on that same Pine Street facade. The word was activate that was used in the staff presentation, and I'm wondering how this will activate the street in that way. Excuse me. So is it that same lounge area or?
I think it's in my opinion, I'm not the architect, but my opinion was it was the lounge area, the balcony area, and the landscaping and softening that whole ground plane. And then we've elevated the materials to give it more of a pedestrian context. It's not big and right on the street. We pulled it back and set it back. So hopefully there'll be people out on the veranda balcony.
The service lounge.
The service lounge, yeah. There'll be people outside, and there'll be outdoor seating, and there'll be food and beverage supply. So it'll have more of a coffee shop feel.
Yeah, we'll have good Wi-Fi.
So along those same lines, as far as I can tell, there's no access to the sidewalk from that patio?
From the patio, no.
No.
We're not. We really want to control that environment. So
Okay.
if people come in, it's almost on the interior, that's really almost a back door. So the orientation of the service reception is from the service drive.
Okay. Because I feel like that would if we really are wanting to activate the street, activate the access, it would be. I guessed that it was probably trying to make sure that you're controlling the environment, but it would for like a flow feeling, for a sense of invigorating the street, those types of things.
There's not a reason we couldn't put a set of steps going up there. I mean,
Well, just ADA.
well, we have an accessible route. We have an accessible route.
Right.
Yeah.
But
So-
they'd have to take a little bit more of a trip. But
And then my only other question is on the landscape plan and the tree choice on the landscape plan. I don't know, I don't think there's someone here from camp that can answer for that, or if you guys did the selection, but,
No, Camp did.
our
Camp did.
Yes.
landscape architect Camp.
so I guess my question is why the choice of maple, but since they're not here, that's it.
I don't have any questions, just comments.
My question is, like, first of all, densification, I get, it's good. I mean, so is this dealership going to be fully contained on this location? Or, I know around this area, the parking for dealerships is all over the place, but is it kind of the intent here to?
This dealership has been designed to be self-contained. The existing dealership has got time on the lease, so it won't be shut down until that lease expires. But this is designed to be self-contained.
And this is, I didn't realize it initially, but it's not on the footprint of the existing dealership.
No.
It's across the street, right?
That's even harder.
Beside,
It's one lot removed, one
Yeah.
lot removed.
yeah, just
Yeah.
north.
Okay.
We have a continuous operation covenant in the development agreement, so we couldn't actually take down the existing dealership and build a new dealership and fulfill the continuous operation, so we had to find an alternate site.
Cool. Thank you. So do we have any public comment? Seeing none.
I've received none.
So we're going to move on to commissioner comments.
Close the public hearing.
Oh, closing the public hearing. Sorry. Commissioner comments.
So we're good?
We sit down.
Should we go the opposite direction than we did the first hearing?
Well, I'll go last.
Okay.
Tens-
First of all, I think this is probably one of the most creative site uses and plans that I've seen, and I used to do urban infill mixed-use housing projects and put a grocery store in the base of a San Francisco development myself. So I appreciate the creativity of the way that you've accommodated all of these uses on the site and kept your parking internal. I have a different opinion on the makers. Having a retail use and the service on that side, having used service and dealerships in Walnut Creek and walked out of them like people will do and gone to get coffee myself, actually walked down to Target one time. I see that as being more of an active use on that service side because the people coming for sales are coming to look at cars and stay in. The people in the service side are going to be waiting for their cars, so they're going to be finding other things to do, or they're going to be using that outside patio. And I believe that you would have a security issue if you had just random people coming into your service lounge and using it and taking things, and that might be an issue for your customers. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that issue that you would have with that. So other than that, I think it looks clean. It is branded. It's the Toyota colors. It's the way that, as you said, you need it to look. And I appreciate the different building materials and the way that you've incorporated them differently on both sides and on the back sides, and just have that same comment as my colleagues, that the two sides, they can't look like a fortress. They have to have something that breaks it up so that it fits within the city and the flavor of the city. But otherwise, I like it.
So my only comment would be to look at the maples and maybe select trees that were lower water or more appropriate to this specific climate. I agree that it's a really pretty building and it would be nice to have in our community, so.
I appreciate the design of this. I had envisioned so much more of like Funk Zone in Santa Barbara, so I was kind of surprised when I saw this, which is why I asked the question about the Maker's Row, because that had been my vision. And I recognize that this is meeting the zoning requirements, and I think what you guys have done with the building is lovely. It just wasn't quite what I had pictured. But I do think this could be the first real improvement in that area that will encourage other things to come around. And I think that the layout and everything you guys have is great. I just have this existential battle that I'm like, unless you are a Toyota customer, it's not, you know, creating like a community benefit, but that's not your problem. So those are my thoughts. Thank you.
I think all those comments were great. I think, I don't know if you're here for the last one, but, you know, we looked at that Taco Bell, and, I mean, the whole thing is branded. There's a real difference between branding and identity, and I feel like this design really balances, it really provides the brand, but it also, in the identity, but it also actually is a good neighbor. I'm familiar with the Toyota dealerships. This is a lot different than that. It's not all one material. You've tried to break it up. I do appreciate the comments that staff came up with, and so probably we want to walk through those and decide whether we want to include those. I mean, in terms of color, I think I would. There's not a lot said about the stone veneer, but I think it's something that I would just encourage to be brought back to staff. And I would hope it would provide some slightly different color and feel, you know, so it doesn't come off. I understand it. I mean, I understand it's going to be a different texture and so forth, but we don't want this. We want the stone to read a little bit differently. Other than that, I think you guys have done a really good job. So thank you. Did we want to go through the staff comments or the staff recommendations and decide whether we want to adopt them or not?
They did. They gave us the details on screening that those are all going to be screened. They talked a little bit about the south and east facades being somewhat blank, although I kind of heard that it's louvers and stuff for parking, and it does seem more like back of house, so that wasn't a giant concern for me, but you guys can say otherwise. It said there is going to be more info on fencing, so I'm hoping that that's kind of sorted. They talked to us about the chain link versus the decorative wrought iron. Site lighting, we didn't really hear that much about, and ceiling height. Those were the other two that weren't addressed.
I mean, I'd say the ceiling height, it doesn't bother me. I know it, you know, and when we were developing the standards, I know there was a concern about making it high enough. I think it's probably high enough. The variation, I think, you know, I kind of talked about. I think the way I would address that would just be to say that when the stone veneer is picked, bring it back to staff for approval. I think we're hoping that it's not monochromatic. That's what I'd say. I mean, site lighting.
Is the site lighting the glowing glass? Am I understanding that correctly?
There were two things. So he brought up, which I didn't even pick up on, that the glass part is backlit
Right.
behind
And then the roof lighting.
the roof lighting. I mean,
They've done full photometrics.
I'd say, is that downlighting? Is it, or, sorry. Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to add that, yeah, so the design guidelines talks about building mounted lighting or any landscape lighting. There were just no details provided, but since this submittal that we're looking at as part of the agenda packet has been revised by the applicant, so that's currently under review. So I believe a lot of these, I've spoken to the applicant, a lot of these design standards have already been addressed.
Great.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say of what we can see from the lighting, you don't see a lot of on-building lighting that would be of concern. I think the lighting on the roof could possibly be of concern because I think, you know, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to actually have mixed use and residential built in. And we don't have a lot of control over these residential towers going in. They're going to be taller, and you're going to see right onto that roof maybe, I think. So I think for me, I would say that you have to be very careful with that lighting on the roof, that it be downlight, light the ground, and it'd be as low as possible. And no, you just follow night sky recommendations for that. So we're trying to keep people safe as they walk around, but we're not trying to highlight vehicles, right? So something to that effect. Is that okay? I mean, I think beyond that, I mean, I think you could see here. So, like, along Pine Street there, there is lighting under canopy there, which is not going to be in danger of lighting the night sky. I think it's probably okay. I think, we're going to watch. You're going to want to watch the lumens so that they're not like lighthouses, but I think they'll probably do a good job there. That's all I have. Anybody else? Want to try to take it on?
I think what I heard was a positive recommendation all the way across. Maybe take a look at some various colors on the stone to address potential monochromatic.
Yeah, something like that.
And also to address, take another look at the roof lighting. Follow dark sky, maybe shorter, make sure they are shielded downward.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
Point of clarification. You're not suggesting a color in the stone, you're just suggesting that there be some contrast, is that correct?
Yeah, I think there should be contrast, and I think there is contrast. I just think it doesn't really show very much in these renderings. So,
Right.
and I mean, I think for me the issue is just particularly in the long faces. I mean, it has to be like when people are walking down the street, you want some variety for them for the most part.
Got it.
Yeah.
And the maples.
Do we got consensus on the maple?
Yeah.
Yep.
Casey, what do you think on the maples?
I mean, I see those as street trees a lot. They typically, maples can take more water, but I've seen this one doesn't. So I don't have a strong opinion. It's not similar to what they're showing in the rendering, so it won't look like what they're showing. So maybe it is more appropriate with the build, because a lot of times, like, I feel like renderings expose what you want to touch and feel, right? So maybe it isn't a columnar tree, it's something a little fuller, creating more of an experience for the pedestrian. So yes, I support it. Sorry, I had to really think that one out loud.
Also, the red in the leaf with the red on the Toyota. I mean, if we're just talking about design, those two.
Yeah.
Plus the water.
Okay. So we'll look at potentially a native species or a less water requirement.
And non-columnar.
And non-columnar?
More rounded in canopy.
To balance all of the angles in the building.
It took the long way, but I got there.
No, it's good. I appreciate it.
Okay, so I think we got it.
Clear here.
So I think we're done with that. So what's next? Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on. So commission considerations. This is for items not on the agenda. Or do we have any commissioner considerations? Okay, moving on. Do we have any commission member or staff reports, announcements?
Nothing gigantic, just that there will be some items coming up on the June 18th meeting. Will we have a quorum then? Yes. Great.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it for staff.
Adjourned.